What's happening, folks out there? Broadcasting live to you and yours. It's your boy, Justin Reed, aka Too Tall for You Fool, and welcome to episode number 81 of the Game and Watch podcast. Hopefully, everyone's doing good this evening, this morning, this afternoon, whatever time you're watching or listening to us today. Today, I got my main man, the F man, Finest Dabs, aka OVG Review Gaming.
Yep, I'm here. I'm here for you. Yeah, heck yeah. Uh, let's never do that again. Yeah, we're YMCAing the OVG symbol that there is no symbol for. But anyway, yeah, let's dig into today. How's everyone? How's
Yeah,
everyone doing?
and then we also got the host of the Dead Drop Pod and the Teaching Culture Cast. He is your interpreter of the games industry, your prophet of playable material, and your professor of time preservation. He is the educator, Matthew Bliss.
Perfect. I love it when half a podcast is just my name. Not complaining at all. Hey, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, man. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah,
That's
I
cool.
mean, you have a lot of names, man. What can I say? More than me. I'm just Justin Reed, Too Tall for You Fool. Just or Too Tall, whatever you want to call it.
There's something to be said for things being simple.
I try to keep it simple, but all right. So just a quick reminder that the Game Watch podcast is a OVG or Review Gaming Productions. If you want to support us, you can support us on Patreon. We do have a Patreon. If you want to watch us, we're on YouTube, Facebook Live, Twitch, and Twitter. And for your listening pleasures, we are on just about all platforms that you can think of. Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it, we're there. iHeartRadio. Yeah, I mean, the list goes on and on. If you want a full list of where we are, I got the pod link that I could drop in our show notes to see whatever podcast platform you want to listen to us on. And lastly, if you want to email us, if you want to talk shit, if you want to fact check us, whatever you want to do, Game and Watch Podcast at
I don't know.
gmail.com.
I don't know if I can condone that. We may have to bring that back, edit that out. I don't know if I'm down for the whole allowing people to talk shit to us.
Maybe don't talk shit, but talk about shit. That would be okay.
I like that. I like
All
that.
right,
I'm
that's
down
better.
to talk about some shit.
All right, talk about some shit. All right. Yeah, if you do want to email us, Game and Watch Podcast at gmail.com. And anything, I guess if it's not anything, but we will try to read most of your emails on the air, just as long as you're not, disrespecting us or anything like that, of course. So
talking about shit, not talking shit.
Yeah, talking about shit.
Don't do crime. Don't do crime.
Oh my gosh, you guys are insane tonight. Okay.
All right. So, how we doing? Where we gonna start? I mean, how's y'all's week's been? What are we playing? Let's open forum time. Let's do it, guys.
Oh, let's ease it back a little bit, man. There's a lot right there.
Analysis paralysis.
Right. Yeah. So how am I doing? I'm doing well. It's been a great week. Really busy at work. We're in prime season right now. On top of that, just been playing games in the little time that I have. And other than that, I got family visiting me. They're somewhere in this realm, in the background. So I've got a live studio audience today. And then, yeah, just really, really enjoying my time.
That's really good. That's good. Live studio audience. Hello, studio audience from Finance's garage. Anyway, so how you been this week, Matt? Anything new?
I actually had a big moment today. I had a very big moment.
You did?
Really big setup. Here we go. So this week, or actually last weekend, and I received this week my RTX 3060, which I finally purchased. Good news for any Australians listening or watching. Graphics cards are starting to tumble in price dramatically. Like we're talking about 3070 Ti's, previously like $3,200, down to $2,200. Literally $1,000 off Australian, obviously. Now that's obviously not me saying go out and buy your cards. but have a good look at it. Make sure that you're keeping an eye on it and seeing how far they tumble, because it could be that the RTX 4000 cards are coming soon. It could be that the market is just starting to balance out a little bit with the lack of crypto in the world. But anyway, point is, I got my 3060. I got it for the exact same price as I bought my GTX 1660 Ti for about 3 years ago, which was $660 Australian, which is ridiculous. And I've put it in, and I have ray tracing available to me now, playing Elden Ring, 60 FPS, which is amazing. But the big news for me, don't look too happy, Finus. It's still got some
Still got those problems, yeah.
frames, some performance issues. It'll lag out between areas sometimes, but when it's not lagging, it's crisp. Now, I had my first ray tracing moment where I was on a cliff, and I was just rolling on some dudes to just beat them up, get my runes, whatever. And all of a sudden, I stepped forward a little bit, and the sun was obscuring my vision in a way that you'd expect if you were in the right angle in the real world. You know how when you kind of have the sun on your periphery and it clouds your vision and it makes it really hard to see everything, you can still kind of can. It's like a sunlight fog. That happened to me in game. And I was like, uh-oh, graphical lag. Then I had to look at the sun and step back a little bit, and I was like, ooh, these are God rays. That's awesome. And then I had a look just to the left of the cliff, and it was the sun setting across the ocean. There was nice little reflections across the ocean as well too. So I had my first proper ray tracing moment with my new 3060. And it's going to sound like completely chump change to people who have been enjoying ray tracing already, but to me, it felt like a big deal.
For us peasants that haven't had the opportunity, that have only seen, 1080p videos of ray tracing, streaming through whoever from a server in another continent, that sounds amazing. It really does.
Yeah. It was a big moment.
Yeah, that sounds excellent, Matt. Yeah, definitely. Thanks for sharing. And as for me, I'm still getting over my cold, but I feel a lot better now. Yeah, Sunday I was kind of just out for the count. Last week, I'm even still trying to just think how I even made it through the podcast. But you said I sounded fine, so I don't know. Maybe I'm a good actor. I don't know, but
that's not get out of hand.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm feeling a lot better though. Definitely feeling a lot better. So, what are we all playing this week? Who would like to start?
I've been playing Elden Ring.
That's
pretty clear. Not much has changed. That game is just massive. I'm constantly finding new
for me, I'm still in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. With me being under the weather, really didn't get a whole lot to get a chance to play games either. So just playing that. But I did get a chance to explore the new tracks on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So they're pretty good ones for the most part. Choco Mountain from the N64, they did a good job with that track, so that's definitely good. If I get a chance later on this week, I'll try to record some gameplay. Maybe we can, maybe I'll share it with our video watchers on the podcast. So we'll definitely look forward to that. And then, so that's about it for me. I mean, I've been really not playing too much, just trying to get well. What about you, F?
He's disappeared.
You disappeared. Oh, F, what you been playing?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was playing with some audio settings and stuff like that. No, I just been playing Horizon Forbidden West. So still, all of us the same games as last week. Just in that game, just trying to get through. I'm actually getting a little anxiety, or fatigue, just because I think it's like I just have the FOMO right now. I feel like I'm missing out on other games right now, and it's like there's still so much to do in Horizon, so many question marks and so much to do, and I'm just like, I'm getting that feeling. I'm just like, so I'm starting to get angry for no reason because I'm having a good time, but I'm like, I really want to play Elden Ring, and I really want to play. So maybe I will step away from Horizon for a little bit, just so I can calm myself and get to a better place in the hopes that I will come back later. But yeah, it's just I just want to play other games also. But we'll see.
I think that's usually the point on the treadmill for any Assassin's Creed game. Maybe not Brotherhood so much, but more recent
No, not
ones.
Brotherhood. No, not
Where
Brotherhood.
you kind of you reflect a bit and you're like, hey, this game's not going anywhere. If I'm not having a good
Yeah.
time right now, I'll just come back to it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's how I felt when I started up Valhalla about a year ago. I just put it in there, and now it's just like, this feels like it's going to be like a 50, 60-hour game. It's just like so much stuff to do. Like, yeah, I'm just going to put this aside, play something else, you know?
I
So, and
mean,
it
but
doesn't
that's
hurt
the
to do
problem.
that.
I'm having a good time. Like I'm
Yeah.
legitimately having a good time. It's just like in the back of my head, like there's this like other voice that's saying like, hey, you haven't turned on your Xbox Series X for a while. You paid a lot of money for that. Maybe you should jump in there and play some
Oh,
Tunic. Or maybe like you just like you still have like all this huge back catalog of games that you bought last year at the end of last year, and you still haven't jumped into that. So it's very much just like a little push and pull. But yeah, Ollie World is my in between game, so I'm still kind of jumping into that, but I'll play like a level or two, and then I'll play Horizon again. But I get the same feeling when I'm playing Ollie World. I'm like, why am I playing this? Like, this is cool. This is like it's an excellent game, but I should be playing Horizon. So it's a lose all around.
lose. Well, I mean, if it makes you feel any better, I haven't turned on my Xbox One S in like over a month now.
That
So, I
doesn't make me
mean,
feel better.
so, I mean, yeah, just, I mean, I know the feeling. I mean, yeah, sometimes you pay big money for your consoles like PS5. I mean, there's been months at a time where I haven't turned that thing on, where I've just, been playing my Switch. Like the time, when I was playing Metroid Dread, I don't think I turned on my PS5 at all. Maybe to play some Hot Wheels. That's about the only game I could think of during that time. So, I mean, games are games. I mean, whatever we're having fun playing is what we're having fun playing. And, just as long as we have the consoles, we know it'll always be there. And, just take care of it. Just don't take it out too much. And, it should be good, should be working. And whenever you are ready to play that certain game for it, we're ready to play it.
Look, I feel the same way sometimes too. There's peaks and troughs in the games industry where you feel like to be tapped into the zeitgeist, you have to be playing absolutely everything. But over time, I've always felt more comfortable taking a step back and realizing, hey, I'm going to play these in my own time. Like I could have picked up Forbidden West, the week after it came out or however close to Sifu it was. But I resolved at that point, I said, going to finish Sifu. It was mostly because I knew that I was going to forget how the buttons work. And the way my brain was like attached to Sifu was in a way where you kind of pull out all the cables and you don't know where all the cables plug in again.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
that happened to me in fighting games. Like I have to for fighting games, I always have to. And Sifu very much is a type of fighting game, but yeah, that happens all the time.
Definitely is. Your brain clicks into a thing, and like I tried something for maybe an hour and then tried to come back to Sifu, and already I was pressing buttons the wrong way. So it was partly that I knew Horizon Forbidden West wasn't going anywhere, that, maybe I'll get a PS5 on the horizon, but I'm happy to just let that sit in the hopper and, let it temper.
All right. Yeah, so for the most part, let's jump into these stories. I guess not maybe it was a big weekend news and gaming news. It felt like it was a little slow to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me or something. But
Lots of little things. Lots
yeah,
of little
a
things.
lot of little things, but no, not that big thing. But we'll get into some of the game announcements later that got me excited. We'll start with some of the online shops. The online shops from Nintendo, the Wii Shop, and DSi Shop channels. They have been down for days, and it's a mystery with the maintenance. Who knows when they will be back up? But we did hear something from Nintendo on the 22nd. They said that um, the Wii Shop channel and the DSi Shop channel are currently undergoing maintenance. Spokesperson told a representative from Kotaku, and we will provide an update at a later date. That doesn't tell anyone anything. So, for those of you that that are wondering, the Wii Shop and DSi shop, they've been down for a number of years now. But if you did purchase games from those shops, you can still download them as long as it's on through the same console. But now, since they're down, any of those previous purchases that you had, you cannot download, and that's got people worried with the current generation of the I guess the 3DS eShop, and I guess maybe the eShop on the Switch later on. But we'll just stick with the 3DS for now, since they announced that it's going to be closing shop next year. So, what does this mean for game preservation? What does this mean for the people who purchase those games and now cannot download them? What does this mean?
That affects transfers too. Like they people
yeah.
So I mean, this is my cynicism. Like when thinking about this is just very much Nintendo pulled down the shop. They thought nobody would notice, and now people have noticed, have taken notice, and they're very much like, I feel like not scrambling, but they're like, oh, dang, we didn't tell anyone. We kind of messed up. In terms of really being consumer friendly. And now they're just like, well, it's a lot more work to put them back up than it is to take them down. So that's their maintenance. Like they're very much just like in the background.
They're lying.
Okay. Yeah, pretty. I mean, essentially, that's what I really think. I just think they're like, oh, we took them down. They noticed and people are angry. So I guess we can bring it back up for however long and then give an official notice and then take them down. So we don't have to go through this pushback or things like that. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Matt?
It could just be that there was a problem and they just haven't been able to fix it yet. Like, far be it from me to give Nintendo the benefit of the doubt, the Nintendo hammer usually on this podcast. But yeah, look, they notoriously don't care what other people think for the most part with anything they announce. They had to address it. Obviously, they're not going to say the specific issue because that's going to raise even more questions like we're talking about here. Oh, well, if you're having an issue with server relationships and making alterations to other stores in preparation for those to shut down and it's impacting other stores, what's going to happen to future? That's obviously gamer voice that I'm doing there. Sorry for anyone offended, but yeah, look, it could just be an issue. I think that's what it is at the end of the day. There is obviously that longer conversation about game preservation itself. And I think anytime one of these store shutdown announcements happens, that's when the archiving community kicks off and goes, all right, we need to buy all this stuff and download as much as we can to preserve it and then host it on other places so that it is available, because that preservation discussion and that archiving discussion still doesn't happen. And we're looking at our live service future, which we'll talk about in a couple of stories. But yeah, look, Nintendo's Nintendo. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, it's Nintendo. I mean, at least when Sony, threatened to shut down the shop for the Vita and the PS3 last year, and one thing I will give Sony is that they do listen to their consumers, their customers or fans, whatever you want to call them. They do listen. They're like, okay, we'll leave it up. You're not hearing this so much with Nintendo, and yeah, Nintendo just does what they want, when they want, how they want, and they don't give a shit. I mean, let's just be honest. It sucks, but I mean,
look, they do them. That's
they do them.
The thing. And look, I really think this is just an issue that they aren't able to communicate or don't want to. And, in a week or so, we might find that, it's fixed up. If we're going full conspiratorial like I usually do, this could be them turning off the shop up to ride out Q1 so that they have stats that say there has been this fewer downloads this month on the store to justify shutting it off entirely. That's full conspiracy mode. I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt this time. Could be anything.
Yeah, it could be anything. All right. Well, moving on from Nintendo to Sony, the PS5, PS5 and PS4, they got new updates this week, but the PS5 got some really nice updates this week. In the new update available globally, users can now give their PlayStation 5 voice commands, similar to the Amazon's Alexa. Um, Also, when creating a party for online chat, users can also choose between an open party, meaning friends of party members can join without an invite, or closed party, meaning only invited users can join. Uh, Sony has also added pro tips section to the control center where users can read refreshers on the PS5, such as how to apply game presets on your console, pin videos and apps to your screen while you play, and share your screen with friends. Um, this is pretty cool. I mean, you can actually make your games look better now with the correct video settings, and that's great. It's should be coming in months though. What are you guys' thoughts on the PS5's updates?
It's going to depend on how it works with the variable refresh rate thing, because that's a thing that's not reliant on the console. It's reliant on the hardware that you have, like the television or the computer monitor or whatever. And making that available is great, but it's also going to drive hardware a little bit too. And obviously, we've all got the right hardware to some degree because it's HDMI 2.1 that's required, 2.1 or higher. And, PS5 systems have a lot of capacity in there. So if the variable refresh rate in system can be matched to the monitor or the television that you're watching it on, then that'll be great. And I think that's the biggest part of this. Like the voice chat stuff, people screaming at their televisions, that's not going to change too much, except that now they'll scream at their television with a purpose. But the variable refresh rate thing is a big thing. In the PC gaming discussion, this is always the thing. Oh, you're capped at 30 frames per second on your TV. Look at me with my GTX 3080 Ti. We got Gamer Voice going today, guys. Sorry.
Yeah. Bring it.
Well, I like that American. I like that Gamer Voice.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of variable refresh rate, I mean, I think this is going to be really like big in the VR space. I think that's where that's going to really come in handy in terms of like focusing on whatever you need to focus on. It'll help prevent sickness in terms of like just being able to provide a higher fidelity at the actual item you're looking at. I think this is going to be super big in the VR space. In terms of like the Amazon Alexa controls and stuff like that, they already had that in PS4. So they already had voice commands. So they're just really, kind of fleshing that out a little bit more. Hopefully you can like speak into your controller. I know you can do it in the voice app also. So that's kind of cool that you can use the app also. But I mean, by the time you do all that, I'd rather just walk over, grab the controller, press the button, and then I'm good to go. And
unless
hopefully
you can use the voice app to say, download Ghostwire Tokyo or something like that. Does it go that far? Dangerous. Do you know?
I don't know. I know you couldn't do that before, but yeah, that could be a serious update because I know you can do that on Amazon Alexa, and that's dangerous too. My son sometimes does that where he's like, I want SpongeBob, and it's like Amazon, the Alexa is like, oh, would you like to buy SpongeBob? And he's like, yes. And then, but I have it deactivated in the app in my phone, so then it just it says like, oh, well, go to your phone and activate it, and then we'll send it over. So thankfully, don't have to worry about that yet, but very much so. that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's scary though. Like well, I have my Alexa right here, but just if you just say bleep 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 or order something, and it just orders it like right then and there, comes to your house. It's just like you didn't authorize it. That's kind of crazy. But I mean, hey, I mean, as the future moves on, I mean, this is the type of technology we're getting into, so it's definitely exciting, and I can't wait to get into those new features with my PS5. But speaking of Sony, they also are talking any day now, any day, sometime in this next week, we will get an update on Spartacus. They say it's coming any day now, and I don't know if it's going to be a game changer or not because like Mark, aka Mr. Madness, was saying in our Discord, they got to give us those day one new
first party
releases
games
if this is going to compete. Yeah, for the first party games, if it's going to be competing with Games Pass on Xbox for the most part. But I mean, I'm excited to see what they have to offer and if it's even worth it to me or not, and then I'll just make my decision from there. But in the meantime, just we can only speculate. What do you guys think is coming to this Spartacus? And is it Spartacus even going to be its name, or is it just the code name?
No, that's just the code name.
Code name.
Yeah. That's just code name for sure.
Definitely. Look, it's going to be what it is.
All right.
I mean,
all right.
like you said, just sit back, wait and see. It's not changing anything. The only thing it's changing from what already exists with PlayStation is it says it's shoving PS Plus and PS Now together. How is that's going to change its service? Who knows? There are some people who have purchased PS Plus subscriptions and gotten PS Now bundled in automatically without them even knowing about it as well. So there could be some past experience stuff that could change, but we just got to wait and see. We know there's pricing tiers. We know that Phil Spencer and some Xbox executives kind of brushed up against it in one of their Games Pass is awesome. Let us talk about how awesome it is kind of discussion panels online this week. We just got to see. But you're right. They need the first party titles. Otherwise, who knows?
I see. I don't think they need the first party titles. Like what was the game that they just brought? The first party title was their first one that one that you said you played before, Matt.
I don't know.
Oh, it wasn't a first party title. I'm sorry. It was a third party title, but it was a day one that came out on PS Now. It came out a couple weeks. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. So what I'm getting at is I don't think this needs to be an Xbox or Xbox Game Pass competitor. I don't think it really is. I think it's a service that Sony's going to bring that is going to be essentially a service in nature, like a similar service in nature. But it's very much going to be something that is going to exist and coincide right next to Xbox Game Pass. I mean, it's not like people are going to like get this service and then be like, oh, this service is junk, and then jump over to Xbox. They're just not going to buy it. And if it's really that close to a price and with PS Plus, and if it just makes sense, then people are going to purchase it. They're going to be like, oh, well, I can play my PS1, PS2 games and PS3 games now. Oh, and I can play all the PS Now games. Oh, I can play God of War and those the Xbox, not the Xbox, the PlayStation titles that they've already given for free to people. That got the PS5. I forget what that thing is called. The whole PlayStation.
PlayStation. It's the place.
I don't. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. But
I know what you're talking about though.
Everyone is trying to pit PlayStation and Xbox against each other. Like, oh, who's gonna win this thing? Like Game Pass or PlayStation Plus? PlayStation needs to do all this stuff. No, they don't. PlayStation's still number one in the market. Like they're like the last time we saw, they were still like outselling the Xbox, like 3-2. Like PlayStation is their service is still dominant. Their console is still dominant. While Xbox is future proofing, PlayStation is not necessarily future proofing, but PlayStation's right here. PlayStation's in the now.
They're in the now.
I think PlayStation's gonna be fine. There's nothing to worry about.
The first party stuff is what separates them, though. Like all the reasons you're justifying there are the reason that PlayStation is ahead in the rankings. They want the PS5 because you want to get those PlayStation exclusive games. It was the same with the PS4 as well. There's only so long they can ride that though. And, they want to get as much value from it as possible. And if they know they're not selling PS4 consoles anymore, but, Uncharted has lived its best life with the Legacy of Thieves collection, pump that into the thing. That's a first party title that's available on this new service that people can use. I think it would look bad on Sony if they had access to these titles to put on a service similar to Game Pass, make them available to people, whether it's rolling monthly or whatever it works as, who knows? But making them available somehow is going to be a good idea. But something that you did make me think of there, combining a few different things together. Again, something we'll talk about a bit later in the show, is the idea of their live service future, where they want, was it 8 or 10 live service games up and running in the next 4 to 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is what the end game is for them, that currently it's a little sprinkling of games with the current PS Plus, and they continue to play multiplayer on any PlayStation games that have it. But maybe they start bundling the live service games into that Spartacus, whatever it is.
That would make sense. That would totally make sense.
That's how they are future-proofing, because they're a live service future. So they want to be able to get people ready and, tack on these extra things as a bonus. Twisted Metal, whatever that thing turns out to be.
Yeah.
Just day one Spartacus, whatever it will be called.
Or you can play free, and then we'll make money through our microtransactions.
So Spartacus comes out, and then it's like the big announcement, day one, you can get Ragnarok. You can play that day one on Spartacus, or whatever they're going to call it.
That I don't think is going to happen. I don't think first parties are gonna come to that. So like, just think of Nintendo. Like, Nintendo is able to sell their first party games regardless of their service and what they're doing, because people want to play Nintendo games and there's only one place to play it. It's going to be the same with Sony's games. Sony, they're able to charge $70 for a game. They're able to do $10 upgrades because the games are good, because you could only do it. You only play these games on Sony. They are not going to, at this point, they are not going to take their games and put them on a live service unless they are 5 years old, or 3 years old, or whatever that time frame looks like, and they put it on PC, and then they're still charging full price on PC and all these things. PlayStation, in the current market, they have no reason to put their first party games, immediately on the service. Now, the point that Matt brought up about them bringing these live service games, that totally makes sense, because you can have a Fortnite model, you can have a Destiny model, you can have all these different games as a service models, and then you're ensuring that you're building a player base. Like, if there's 5 million people on this new service on Spartacus, and they're automatically going to get the game free, like, they're going to jump on these live service games, and then they're going to pay for cosmetics and season passes and all these other things, and then they're going to make their money back that way. But in the current market, you're not going to see first party games come out like
at
that.
Least day one.
They may do third party.
Day one, different things.
Yeah.
But you just said Destiny, dude. Like, that's a pack in. That's a day one live service pack in. After PlayStation bought Bungie. Like, that's that's like an instant win. That's how you plug your Halo players into your first party service. Like, that would be ridiculous if they did that day one. That would be pretty crazy.
I mean, Destiny still charges for each expansion anyway, so that really doesn't matter.
Think of the EA Play model, though. Like, it doesn't mean that Destiny can't change if Bungie gets a kickback of subscriptions to their service through an Xbox Game Pass like subscription type thing.
It's true.
Which EA is the only way that anyone's doing EA Play at the moment, right? Because it's done through Steam, it's done through Xbox Game Pass. They just come bundled in, or you get them incredibly cheap.
It's done through PlayStation too. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. No one's going to Origin to get their EA Play Pass, or wherever you get it from. I don't know.
we made a Destiny mention, so Bravo gave us a kudos in the chat.
What up, Bravo? We still represent. I'm still repping Destiny, even though I don't really play the game anymore.
Good to know there's still fans out there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, doing it live crew in the house. So let's move on to the next story. Nintendo Switch update 14.0.0 is now live, and pretty much the patch notes is the Bluetooth audio volume behavior is changed. It's a little better, but I think the main feature that a lot of people are excited about is that you can finally group your games. Now, they should have did this a long time. Yeah, you can make folders pretty much, and they should have did this a long time ago. You could do up to 100 groups with a maximum of 200 groups per title. Yeah, they should have did this a long time ago. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Good.
They've been
Good
asking for it for 5 years. Yeah. I mean, people have been asking for it. Like,
yeah, I figured I'd mention that because I mean, you could do it on the 3DS. Why not the Switch was literally like bare bones when it came out. No YouTube, still no Netflix on there. Still, they got Hulu, but I mean,
they had
I know that.
Netflix and then they didn't want to pay for it, so they took it
Yeah,
off.
they didn't. I guess they didn't
Yeah.
want to. So it's yeah, they just really. I mean, I do respect how they just rebuilt their brand. They just really focused on the games when it first came out. But and the Nintendo Switch, they can do so much more, and I think that's what frustrates fans about it. But
People are
anyway,
celebrating this, but this isn't really a
yeah,
celebration. It's more of
it's
about time. Like,
yeah, it's not
God.
it's not a celebration at all.
Look, you can't take a computer from 2005 and release all of the functions and expect it to last for 10 years. Like, imagine the impact without all the research they went into to create these folders in the system that it could have had if they released it 3 years ago when people asked for it. Like, it could be doing things in the background that we don't even know. Like, units could start crashing in the next 2 years because people are starting to hit that 100 folder limit or whatever it was.
Oh yeah,
It's the only way they're going to be able to make this thing breathe its last breath across the finish line in 2026 or whenever they expect the console.
Yeah, if it goes that
finish.
far, it better be the best, the most selling console ever. It'll pass the PS2 if it's still going to 2026, 2027.
Well, that
Mark
was the
my words.
reasoning. That was the reasoning for the whole Bluetooth in the first place. Was like they were like supposedly testing it in the background because they had a list, a list of things that they were ready to launch, and they were slowly like testing, out everything in order to ensure that the system was able to handle. It had the capacity to handle the features, but yeah.
Look,
All right, well,
if that thing is just going to burn in a smoldering heap like a Galaxy S10 or whatever it was, that because you release all this stuff, that's going to be against what they would want to do.
yeah,
That's what I reckon.
I mean, yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, it's funny that you bring up Netflix finance because that brings us to our next story. And a few acquisitions here. Netflix acquires its third game studio in 6 months. It has acquired Boss Fight Entertainment. Boss Fight has only released two games: the mobile RPG Dungeon Boss and casino game My Vegas Bingo. Uh, so, what does this mean for Netflix? I mean, it seems like they're getting more serious about the gaming. The gaming live service thing. I mean, it could be coming up with Netflix, sooner rather than later. If it acquired its third video game studio. I mean,
Sounds like they're getting into gambling, man. Like, what's
yeah.
Vegas Bingo or whatever?
Yeah.
That sounds like a mobile game company developed their moneymaker, and then they developed the one that they maybe wanted to make. But gaming in Australia, this is actually a big deal. Like, when we talk about gaming in Australia, it's not video games. It's pokie machines. It's roulette. It's casinos. That's where the gaming industry is in Australia if you talk to the layperson. So do you think maybe Netflix is getting into gaming?
The next
Attach people to
Konami.
their screens? Yeah, exactly. Netflix health clubs, pachinko machines.
Gosh.
It's a weird one.
Yeah.
But not unusual.
I mean, they said last year, their aim was to be the one of the best or have the best slate of gaming options in 2022, and this is their way of going about it. But I mean, yeah, this is really just about value proposition. If you look at Netflix's numbers, like over the years, it's slowly been decreasing. It always has surges and peaks and valleys and everything, but it's been dropping off more or less. So they have to increase their value proposition, and that's what this is going to do. They keep on increasing the price. They just increase the price across the board for everyone. But what's everyone getting out of it? They're getting the exact same subscription that they got before, but they're paying a higher price for it. So they really have to branch into other markets to really keep people engaged with their streaming service. And I think this is a great way to do it because, I mean, gaming gaming is the only industry that is seeing year over year growth and hasn't taken a dip whatsoever. Like, it's just gaming's trucking, and it's, that's why we see so many people jumping into gaming, Amazons and Apples and just, yeah, all these
Google
different, all
tried,
these, yeah, Google tried, but now, yeah, I won't even get into that. But
yeah, no.
yeah, I think this is smart of Netflix. I think they should actually move at a quicker cadence, though. I think they need to buy, going the mobile route, I think is very smart, when dipping your toes. But, without going bankrupt, I think they should purchase, a few more studios a little bit quicker, because games take time to develop. So they're really not going to see any value out of these propositions, acquisitions, like for a couple years.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. They're saying that they want to be, the best gaming option in 2022. I don't think that's going to be happening. With just at least not right now. At least not within the next 6 months anyway. Now, if they come out with something, announce something later this year, and if by the end of the year they got something big, we'll listen, we'll cover it, we'll give our thoughts. But until then, just got to see more from them on that front.
Well, look, I think it's a shit sandwich. Just very quickly before we move to the next topic, I think it's a shit sandwich. Like, they increase the price of the subscription service. They start collecting game studios so they can develop their own projects and say, hey, we're going to be an awesome gaming platform. And then they also talked about adding a cost for additional users, which is clearly directed at people who share their Netflix subscriptions across households. So it all comes down to the money. You're right there, Finest. I think they always have to look at how they can increase their profits and revenue every quarter. And yeah, I would say too, they have to buy more studios to be able to do that. But the biggest
definitely.
Netflix news is making your mate pay $3 on their service just to be able to use your login.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bummer for my household, let me tell you. So, all right. And speaking of more acquisitions, PlayStation is going to acquire Jade Raymond's Haven Entertainment Studios. So, I mean, you're just seeing a lot of acquisitions all across the board. Just Nintendo bought something, and we know what Microsoft and Activision's doing now. PlayStation acquiring another studio. Haven Entertainment Studios after acquiring Bungie, and just probably a good move for them. Jade Raymond, she worked for Ubisoft, and then she was with Google Stadia for a while. Hasn't really done much over the past decade, I think. But I mean, it should be a win-win. I mean, for the most part, and it's you're just Stoney's just all over the place. Do I think it's a response to the other acquisitions that they made with Xbox and Activision? No, not just bolstering up their studios, and I
It's
think
them
at the
looking
end,
to live service at the end of
yeah,
the day, right?
yeah, live service.
Because they're
Well,
building a live service game.
yeah,
Haven Studios.
Yeah, this could very much be one of the 8 that Sony talked about. This was a precursor to Sony's announcement. But yeah, I just want to touch on base on Jade Raymond. She's like had a cursed career. So none of her games have actually come out. Like, she was working on Star Wars 1313. That game got canceled. So we never saw that the light of day. And then there was a couple other games that she was working on that just never saw the light of day. So that's one of the reasons why she created the studio, Haven, in the first place. Was one, you can control your control your assets and control your game and ensure that it actually comes out. Because I mean, I think it's been like the last 13 years she's been working on different games for different studios, and 2 or 3 games, and none of them have come out. So I mean, this happens every day, but I mean, that just has to be devastating to be to work under so many different divisions, so many different companies, and then every game you work on just never makes it out. So I'm happy that she's created this studio, along with a whole bunch of other senior developers, and we hopefully get a game from them in about another 5 years.
Hopefully she just makes something that comes out. I mean, that's what I would like to see. I mean, yeah, just
any top tier gaming professional that walks away from Assassin's Creed in whatever form it was in has to be doing something good on the other side, I would say. Because she was working on that before she left, I think.
Yeah, she was working on Assassin's Creed, like I said, about a decade ago. So, I mean, I'm not sure which one, but I mean, since she's left Ubisoft, I mean, it's been kind of I mean, it's been a bit rough, but I mean, hopefully with the studio and being acquired by Sony, that a game that the studio does develop does see the light of day, and I just want to see what the studio has before writing her off. And this episode's been a bit Sony heavy, but I do gotta say this: PlayStation will keep making single player games as live service ambitions expand. So what does that mean? We're still going to see games like Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us, Horizon Forbidden West, Ratchet and Clank, God of War. We're still going to see games like that, even with the the games as games as a live service expanding throughout the whole thing. And I think that's very important. I think the single game experience is a big one. It's a big one for me because those are still some of my favorite games to play. I mean, not everyone wants to play a game as a live service or just have to pay X amount monthly to be on this server or that server or playing this game. I mean that's good that they are going to keep doing that. Finance, I know this has to make you real excited. Horizon
I
Forbidden
mean,
West. Yeah.
this is just in reaction to gamers hearing that Sony is going to start focusing on live service games and gamers freaking out. Like, this is what we do as just gamers. Like, we hear something and then we think it's the end all be all of what a company is going to do, what they're going to focus on live service. We're not going to get like Horizons and God of War.
They're making Fortnite. It's over.
Oh no, Fortnite.
No.
Fortnite's taking over. No. Call of Duty. No.
Oh no. Yeah. So so I this of course they're gonna make single player games. I mean, because them just really focusing on that market and becoming kind of the sole proprietor of like single player games for much of a generation has made them I think that's what finally took them to the next like echelon of like top tier gaming. Like, that's why when people think of Sony as a brand, they think of those like first party games because almost everyone has been such a banger, But when we think of Sony, we don't think of Call of Duties, and we don't necessarily think of like just multiplayer shooters or games like that. That's why they are picking up like companies like Bungie, and that's why they are picking up other developers like Haven, and it's very much to fill out that gap. And then if on the other side you see Microsoft doing the exact opposite. They've had always such a breadth of just multiplayer shooters and things like that, but now you see them. I mean, they bought Bethesda, and it was just really Western RPGs, like, and they really just started like not focusing, but in terms of like purchasing and the way they're moving forward, it very much has been okay. Well, about that aspect of our library and what we're providing to consumers. So we're seeing similar things, but on opposite ends from both these companies. I felt like, cool. I think.
I like how you described Microsoft as the dude bro of gaming. Like, hey,
the dude bro.
You want this? I got you. Here, grab it.
Whereas, I mean, we saw Gears of War. I mean,
Gears of War, Halo, like they're all kind of geared in that direction. Death Proof, Dishonored, Bethesda, that is part of their development, production, Xbox Studio stuff now is really true. But Sony games, you're absolutely right there too. When I think of Sony PlayStation, I don't think of the Call of Duties. I think of the deeply resonant and emotional games that I really enjoyed. Final Fantasy X was enjoyed on a PlayStation 2. Kingdom Hearts 2, also on a PlayStation 2. God of War, Last of Us, they're all experiences that stay with you. Bloodborne, perfect.
Yeah, and they got definitely they're great when it comes to their first party titles, and definitely I don't think they're gonna try to mix the formula or stop something that's working. If it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. So,
Well, they need to tell people. That's I guess.
but they just need to
main
tell
oversight
people
here.
like, hey, we're still gonna stick to our roots when it comes to these. Don't worry, y'all. So so PlayStation super fans out there, just let it be known that they will still be making single player games as the live service ambitions do continue to expand. All right, now speaking of games, let's talk about some games. Ready to talk some games? Well, we've been talking gaming news, but I guess we're still talking some gaming news, but we're
How
going
many
to talk
times
about
can you
some
say game in a sentence in 10 seconds?
I was thinking
game.
about news. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, we said news a couple. Okay, news. Okay.
Game news on video games.
Game news on video games. All right. All right. We're going to talk about some games that came out last week, and we're just going to go through their Metacritic scores. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, Metacritic score of 80. So,
That's all right.
So, yeah. So,
okay.
it's probably not going to be on my radar. I'm just being honest, but so far, based on the ratings I've been seeing, it's pretty good. So, I think all three of us here would recommend definitely picking it up if on any of your platforms, PC, also PS4, PS5, Xbox One, or the series of consoles that you do own. Anything you want to say on Tiny Tina's Wonderlands?
Well, you were excited for it, weren't you, Finest?
Yeah. I mean, if I'm gonna play Borderlands, I'd rather have this version than like the regular, like mainline Borderlands. Me personally, I like that fantasy aspect.
Borderlands 2, you must play. Borderlands 3, that is an acceptable statement. Okay.
I have actually have all the Borderlands, so I played them all. I haven't finished any of them.
Skip 3. Yeah. Forget it. It's not worth it.
I have 2 on the PS3 in my backlog there. I'll put it on one of these days, but yeah.
Yeah, no. Tiny Tina's Wonderland. Just having that D&D aspect, I think is awesome. In terms of the score, going through the Metacritic and going through what reviewers are saying, beyond a couple technical hiccups, I think the biggest critique that I've been hearing, and I heard this about Borderlands 3 and even about Borderlands 2, it's more Borderlands. So I think that's what they have going for them, because there's really nothing like there's nothing like Borderlands. Like, oh, it's about the loot and the guns and just like the variety that you have. Like it's Borderlands, and the comedy and the writing, and that's what Borderlands is. But at the same time, we've gotten like I don't even know, 7 games, 8 games so far.
We've got a Telltale game. Borderlands 1,
no,
Borderlands 2, Borderlands 3, Borderlands the pre-sequel. That's probably 6 plus this one would make 7.
Yeah. Sounds about
talk
right.
to a Borderlands fan. That's what you're gonna get.
Yeah, and I think that's for like, and that's the thing. If you like Borderlands, if you've enjoyed Borderlands, if you have the friends to play, like, go play it. Like, this makes sense. But if you're not a Borderlands fan, or you have yet to try it out, I definitely think you should try it out. But if you have played it and you're looking for something different, like, this is probably still not it, from what I'm understanding from like the Metacritic and the reviews and everything. But I'm still excited about it. I still want to play, and I hope people will play with me. So
I will. Borderlands 2, I just had to check my hours played there. It was 300 hours. And I think
300 hours.
Oh,
wow!
2013, 14, and the D&D portion, the D&D add-on of Borderlands 2 was one of the best bits for me.
Yeah.
So I'll be picking this up at some point for sure. And more Borderlands 2, give it to me. Also, big moment in my own video game podcasting history. The first time I get to say Schluter on a podcast, a loot shooter, which is a phenomenally uncomfortable clarification to make for a game. But anyway,
I just on a off topic, I just had a person with the last name Schluter purchase from my work. So I was just like, yeah. So I just started dying. And I just kept on saying it, and I had to take their call, and they did purchase, which was great.
Did you ask if they wanted epic or legendary?
Did you laugh? Did you laugh after you said their last name back? Or
I know, honestly, like,
you're trying to hold it in.
That entire day, and like probably the next day into it, I just kept on saying it to myself, Schluter. And I just couldn't stop. Like, it was just in my head. And every time I wanted to, I just smile every time I say it.
Yeah. It's one of those words that when we try to wrap it around our tongues with the English language, we're kind of like, yeah, that's a new word. That's a weird one. Makes me feel uncomfortable, but it's all right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
next one.
For sure. All right, next game. Kirby and the Forgotten Land. It has a Metacritic score of 84. And for the most part, I've had 2 people hit me up asking if I had gotten this game yet, since, I do have a Switch. And believe it or not, one of them was Finance, my younger brother, believe it or not, has this game. And, he is playing it. I need to see how far he's gotten. He actually called me when he was on the way to the GameStop last night to pick it up. It's just it's hard to find if you don't pre-order it. He didn't pre-order his through GameStop, so luckily the one near his home had a few copies left. So he got like.
Telling me they're not selling this digitally?
They are, but I mean, my brother's just like like
old
me.
School.
He's old school, like well, like us, me and Finance. Here, we like to get our games physically when we can. So
he was the Smash Bros fan too, right?
Yeah, he loves Smash Brothers. Yeah, don't yeah. Link is his guy. So, younger bro, if you're listening, what up?
He's not listening.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, but I'm flattered he's playing video games once again. So, and yeah, so eventually, I do not have the game yet, but I will pick it up. It is on my radar. I don't know if I want to wait for a price cut. I don't know. I probably will just buy it at full price when I do buy it, but it is on my radar. I will have the game by the end of the year, along with another game I will talk about later on this podcast. But
I'm going to be honest, I've watched a bit of a stream of Kirby earlier today, and I played Kirby's Dreamland on Game Boy, which was maybe one of the first. I'm not sure. I love that game. And the Kirby vibes through all the games, I think, is just awesome. Like, it feels the same all the way through. All the sounds are very much the same. If I had a Switch, I'd probably be picking up this game too, I think. Looks very enjoyable.
Yeah, not very hard either, but I mean, does every game have to be... Yeah, it's a nice, relaxing game, but does every game really need to be hard? And just play the game, enjoy it, and then you can go... And I was seeing some gameplay on it earlier. You can go back to levels, try to rediscover stuff, try to get stuff that you didn't get in the previous level. I mean, even though it's like not like everyone was expecting, with the Mario Odyssey feel, so it's where you can go just like anywhere you want. It definitely does give a different type of vibe to Kirby. In the 3D space now, just swallowing cars, spitting soda cans out of vending machines. You never saw that before, right?
No.
Absolutely not. So
no, just stars.
just the stars. Well, actually, that Robo Kirby game on the 3DS, that's actually a pretty good Kirby game too. If y'all have a 3DS and want to explore that, but hopefully they port it to the Switch. Hopefully they port a lot of other games from the 3DS to the Switch. But yeah, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, available now on Switch.
I haven't played a Kirby game since Kirby Superstar and Kirby 3, like on the Super NES. 3. So
wow,
it's been a long time.
That's a very long time.
Yeah,
I feel like I need to flex here. Does this mean I played a Kirby game before any of you two did?
Probably. I mean, I did not have a Game Boy. Mm-hmm. I did not have a Game Boy, so you did probably play a Kirby game before me. I didn't have a Game Boy growing up.
I did have a Game Boy. I don't think I played Kirby on it though. Not that I grew
up.
I'll take it.
I don't think you had Kirby. I mean, so
I didn't own Kirby, but I don't know if I don't know if I played it. So, but anyway,
I know I didn't play it, so I'm just being honest with you there. All right, so next game, Ghostwire Tokyo for PC. It's also on the PS5. Got a score of 79.
There seems to be a reason for that.
You think so?
people from everything that I've seen of it haven't touched it yet. Seems to be that people are enjoying the general ambience and the gameplay of the thing, but that I think one outlet that I saw described it as butter scraped over too much bread, Hobbit style, Lord of the Rings reference. But yeah, it just feels like they've stretched out a mechanic in the game to fill a very large time span, and it gets very repetitive very quickly. So maybe because of that gameplay element, it kind of dropped in score a little bit. But it looked like they were doing things right.
I mean, for me, I what am I trying to say? No, I just didn't really look at this game, and I didn't think like banger. I wasn't like immediately like this is the game that's gonna in 2022 like everyone is gonna just go gaga over. And for the reception that people like had over the trailers, I was actually shocked. I was surprised. I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm missing something here. Maybe I don't know. But now that the game is like out in the wild and people are playing it and the reviews are coming, I mean, this is what I expected of it.
It just looked super different. It's again one of those cases where you looked at a value proposition again. Like this is, hand stuff in first person. There are so many games that have tried that and failed or not bothered to do it in the end. And you're also in Shinjuku, Japan, which is where people would love to be, especially post-pandemic when you haven't been able to travel. Like there's a lot of things together there that kind of made sense when they saw the trailers, which got people excited. But then game comes out and it doesn't meet expectations.
This like when I first saw the game, like just in terms of like first person trying to like have an action orientated game, like this reminded me of Ghost Runner when I first saw it. Like, different powers, different abilities and everything, but just that whole first person like action type of vibe. And but I felt like Ghost Runner at least had like a loop to it. Like it was very much a game where it's about perfecting your runs and going through the game quickly and just very fluid. Whereas this, I never felt the loop in this game. I never got that from the trailers or anything. So I think when people jumped into it, I don't think people knew what to expect either. And then they jumped into it and it wasn't what they expected, and I feel like they kind of dinged it on that also on that note. But
Ghost Runner had parkour. Parkour in games is always cool, but Ghost Runner has
Brink.
I don't think anyone talks about Brink let's talk Mirror's Edge. But Ghostwire, it's about collecting stuff, and they filled in the parkour from Ghost Runner, say, with collecting this thing, which allows you to do your finger guns, and then collecting ghosts, and also talking to dogs, which gives you things to collect, which inevitably cost less than the food you had to give the dog. Like that's where the treadmill is, which isn't apparent when you look at the trailers. But
yeah, when that first trailer came out, I mean, from what I collected and from everyone, what I was hearing from the overall consensus is like, this is going to be an awesome horror game. This is going to be like, like this is going to be the new PT. This is going to be so scary and just it looks so different. And then it's not that.
No, Slit Ahead. Slit Ahead is going to be the one that's going to be that really weird horror game. Like, don't put Slender Men at the front of your game. Instead, make weird humanoid creatures that, rip open with teeth from the skull down to the middle of your chest. Like, that's how you do it. Parasite anime. Shout out to anyone who's watched that.
Yeah, for sure. And one more game we're going to talk about. It's available on the Xbox Series X, S, the Xbox One, and PC. Tunic.
And Game Pass.
On Game Pass, too. Yeah, I probably should play that with my Game Pass. Probably turn on the Xbox here. Yeah, so, yeah, Tunic. So, any thoughts on this game? Role-playing game, action RPG?
It is Diet Elden Ring, I think. It has resonated strongly with a lot of the community, I think, for that reason, because it is entirely about discovery. Like, it tells you nothing.
It tells you nothing. You
That
just
that'll
go
frust-
and
that'll frustrate people, but it's a very enjoyable experience. It's not apologetic for the way it is.
But I heard that's the great part about it too, is that
Yeah.
you don't know anything, and you actually have like you have the ability to access like all this stuff right from the beginning of the game, but
if you know it's there,
if you know it's there, and if you know how to,
Yep.
because you're learning things throughout the game versus like, if you knew that from the beginning, you'd be able to access it from the beginning. But since you don't know, you don't access it. And which brings that ability to come back to those other locations that you previously were. And then,
and that's why I call it Diet Elden Ring or Diet Dark Souls or Diet FromSoft, because that's literally what they do. The only problem is that the fan base of FromSoft has kind of become a community of Get Good, where they kind of toxically induce that. But with this community, people are happy for the game to go, look, it's all there for you. Just figure out in your own time, take what you need, and you've got that. You don't have to rely on the game to take those things away. You're actually learning and discovering things for yourself, and it makes the game easier every time. That's a loop that gets underrated in Dark Souls games.
So you're telling me there's two types of games in Dark Souls games. There's pretty much the get good part, and then just walk around, explore stuff. Just explore it on your own time, all that stuff. That's what you're saying, Matt?
I think you're trying to pigeonhole me a little bit there. I think it's very unfair, because there is, for each individual, the experience is different. That's exactly why Elden Ring has succeeded so well and met the hype, because that is done better than the Dark Souls ones have been. Tunic is very much the same way. You're going to run into one person who says, oh, I got the firecrackers really early on and I was blowing up bosses like crazy. And then someone who's played the game 20 hours longer than they have will say, what? Firecrackers? What are they? Like, the game experience is individual for each person. But then you've got your speedrunners, and then you've got your get goods. That's where it starts to disseminate a little bit. So to your hyperbole-inducing comment, trying to pigeonhole me there, I'm going to say these games make an individual experience that caters to what the player enjoys. You don't have to get good. You don't have to explore. You can do whatever you want.
Okay, fair enough.
And before we move on, I just want to mention that I wish you can see it here, but you can't. But on IGN, they did an interview with Andrew Schultes, the creator of Tunic, and he is such a mind. Like the way he just explains the reason why he created this game, and the like everything about the game and why he chose to make the decisions that he did is such a interesting, endearing, interview that they did, and it is really great. So I do recommend, after this podcast, you go to IGN.com, watch that. But yeah, it was a really great interview. It made me want to play the game more, just because like he was so relatable. And yeah, it just seemed like a guy that expected nothing. It was very much a project out of love, and he didn't expect anyone to play it, but the reception that he's got, the fact that it was a surprise announced on Game Pass, he's all his work has been given back to him. He's like, he's he's got, I don't know the word.
It sounds like the same way that I think about Jonathan Blow when he was talking about The Witness when that came out. He did interviews as well, and he doesn't come across as a guy who's like, yep, best game of all time, puzzles, love them. He's very much like I wanted to make this kind of game, and I've been journeying on this game for like 6 years, and it's an experience I customized and made to my own. It sounds very much like that. So yeah. I'll definitely give that a look after this podcast.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll give a look to it. All right. So I meant to say I'll give it a look. Sorry. CD Projekt Red confirms a new Witcher game is in development, and it will use Unreal Engine 5. Aren't you guys excited? A new Witcher game. I still haven't even played The Witcher 3 yet, but I mean, a new Witcher game by CD Projekt Red. Hopefully, they don't have the same problems that they did with Cyberpunk 2077 when that came out. But they're using Unreal Engine 5, and I mean, this is some big news in terms of game announcements.
So we don't know that much yet. They haven't told the world very much. There are some very important things to note that they have explicitly said. They released an image that was a teaser for the new Witcher games, which was a Witcher. What are they called? The locket, the pendant thing that Geralt wears, which is usually the White Wolf. It's a different one. Looks more like a cat, so it could be a new school of Witcher. It may not be a continuation of the Geralt stories, which we would expect. So there's a little bit of inference there. They have said that in an exclusive partnership with Epic Games, they will be using the Unreal Engine 5, and they have already dismissed that the game on PC will be an exclusive Epic Games title. This partnership is exclusively for the development platform. And in the Unreal Engine 5 decision, it kind of makes sense because of Cyberpunk and because of Witcher 3. They were doing it in the Red Engine, which they made themselves. But they have also said they will be continuing to develop Cyberpunk in Red Engine and continuing to improve and upgrade it and support it. So, with all that being said, we're still a very large number of years off this new title coming into the Witcher series, I think.
Yeah,
but
it's not coming next year. I mean,
definitely not. They've barely started, but it sounds like they've got a very solid storyline that they know where they want to go with this game, which is a really good thing. And I'm always curious to see more about how they can extend the universe, because they've almost gone beyond the books at this stage. And thinking about where it could end up is really interesting too, because there's so many characters in that game. Like, you automatically think, okay, Ciri is still around. She starts her own Witcher school, but there's no way to create witches anymore. So what's happening there? Like, it just sounds really interesting.
Yeah, don't forget the Netflix animation. So they've addressed that. And and the medallion, I think is the word you're looking for earlier. But with series, of course, the what everyone's leaning towards in terms of like where people are thinking the story might go. I think we could very much see, like, Cyberpunk. You had 3 different divisions. I can see both Geralt and Ciri, you being able to choose your path or something like that. I think would be really, really interesting. But yeah, this game is super far off. But I think with them going to the Unreal 5 engine and having those features and that support, that it's going to allow them to make the game quicker. Because I think with all the issues that they did have with Cyberpunk 2077, that roadmap has already been delayed. So now they're trying to make good on, fulfilling that roadmap that they've already created. We haven't seen a new roadmap yet because they're so far behind on their current roadmap. Them developing in the Red Engine that they created themselves, I think is one of the reasons why they decided to switch over.
Definitely.
When not having that Unreal 5 engine, it very much just slows down development time. And I think with this, they can kind of get back on track and really allow for a more seamless development cycle and just an easier development overall, just knowing that you have Epic to really support them in terms of tools. That's going to be ever expanding because they're working on it. It's already great. We saw the Matrix game that they created like in a couple months, during that one presentation before the movie. So it's going to be amazing to see what CD Projekt Red can do in this engine. And Justin, you came at like Witcher kind of negative because of glitches and bugs and because of Cyberpunk, but you got to remember, Witcher set the gold standard. Witcher CD Projekt. I mean, it was already buggy. Like, Witcher was buggy. Like, don't get me wrong. But that's the thing. It was they were able to develop this game that originally came out on PC, and it only got better and better. The story got better. The side missions got better. And while it was buggy, it was still a great game. And then they put out so much goodwill by giving us or not giving us, but creating DLC that was relatively cheap and gave you 20, 30, 40 hours worth of content. Their DLC was unrivaled, and I think very much to this day still is. While CD Projekt has lost a lot of good faith, I think people are eager for another Witcher, especially after Cyberpunk didn't necessarily live up to the expectations of what they wanted it to be. And I think CD Projekt Red is also eager to show what they can do and really earn that goodwill back. So I'm excited for the game. I can't wait. I know we're many years off.
Yeah, it's
But
gonna
I
be
think it's
many
gonna be
years
awesome.
off. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm curious to see what they do with the next Witcher game. Like I said before, I gotta play Witcher 3. But
Yes,
I
that is your homework,
mean,
because the Game of the Year edition with both DLCs included, you
yeah,
can pick up
yeah,
for under $10 US these days.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. I'm just. I'll look around. I'll look at Best Buy, my local GameStop. Yeah,
Justin, you already
definitely.
have like 300 hours worth of games. You're not going to play Witcher.
I
It's
mean, you
just
no,
never
not going to
he
know.
will
happen.
play Witcher. He will play Witcher.
I think I will
Must.
play The Witcher, but we'll definitely see. And then one more game that got announced this week, new Ghostbusters game. This one is going to be a Ghostbusters 4v1 game, and looks like you can be your own Ghostbuster, create your character, go to that iconic firehouse that they have. Let's see. Dan Aykroyd and Ernie Hudson are reprising their roles as Ray Stantz and Winston Zedmore. So I mean, little bit of nostalgia for some older fans out there. And then it looks real fun. I mean, I played Ghostbusters Reloaded, which should have been the real Ghostbusters 3. They remastered it. It came out years ago, but I played the remastered version, and that was a very good game for the most part. So I'm looking forward to seeing more about this game, and just I ain't afraid of no ghost.
Oh my
Is this
God.
is
You're
is
so
this going to
corny.
be? Yeah, very quickly breezing past that little bit of comedy. um, uh, is this going to be like a Left 4 Dead, Back 4 Blood kind of style? Because it seems to be the thing at the moment. There's quite a few games coming out that are 4v1 or co-op players versus environment kind of thing. Do we know?
Well,
I mean,
technically it is, because if you look at the developer, it's Ilphonic. So Ilphonic has made several other 4v1 games. I think they made the Predator Hunting Grounds. They made the
And
Jason
Friday the
game,
13th.
yeah, they did the
Friday the
Jason game.
13th. So that's is very much their wheelhouse. So I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense for them in particular to make this game, but I think that's why we're seeing a lot of them, because they're making them all.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think it'll be a good game for the most part. I mean, it got me excited when I saw the trailer. Like, all right, let's see what this can do. I mean, yeah. So yeah, Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. I mean, it's coming soon. We don't know when. I mean, no release date's been announced. We don't even know if it's coming later this year or sometime next year. Or, I mean, right now I think it's slated for sometime later this year. But I mean, it's looks like it's going to be a real good game when it comes out. I'm excited to see how it does.
Yeah, I
And
think it's coming out this year because they've already sent out previews to the press in order to play. So people are already giving out
okay,
impressions on the game. So I'm pretty sure we'll see
okay,
it out this year. Yeah.
Did any of you
all right.
see the film that came out? Was it this year or last year?
Ghostbusters Afterlife? No, I didn't see
Yeah.
it. Yeah, it came
No,
out
I have
this
not seen
year.
it yet.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
recommend it if you have
Okay.
come off the all-female reboot, thinking maybe Ghostbusters isn't going anywhere. The new one is quite good. I would suggest giving that a watch at
All
some
right.
point.
I'll definitely give it a watch. I just hadn't had a chance to. I haven't really watched a whole lot of new
Just
movies lately.
look, you buy The Witcher, put the Ghostbusters Afterlife on the side, and you do both. Perfect.
Sounds good. Sounds good
Amazing.
for sure. Thank you. All right, now getting into our main topics or main discussions for this week. We're gonna talk some more GT7 Gran Turismo 7 controversy continues as just it's just I don't know if it's getting any better or any worse. I mean, let's see. So first, let's talk about the player's turn to credit exploit after controversial update. Looks like someone created a script in terms of to just have the game keep going through remote play through the PC or whatever to just earn a lot of credits and then to just buy whatever car that they wanted. And another thing, according to Polyphony Digital, they pretty much said
Whoa,
that
you can't
that the
you can't butcher polyphony. It's Polyphony Digital.
Polyphony
Just before we go
Polyphony
any further,
Digital.
I meant to bring that up before the podcast, but yes, let's go ahead and get that right before we go any further. Sorry, continue.
English. It's a fun
all right.
language.
Okay. Yes. Polyphony. They pretty much said that they are sorry. I mean, I can read this whole summary. We'll have it in the show notes. It's on the PlayStation.blog. But pretty much that they to make it up to the players that they're going to increase rewards in the events in the latter half of the world circuits by approximately 100% on average. Addition of high rewards for clearing the circuit experience in all gold / all bronze results. Increase the rewards in online races. Include a total of 8 new 1-hour endurance race events to missions. These will also have higher reward settings, increase the upper limit of non-paid credits and player wallets from 20 million credits to 100 million credits. And then they increase the quantity of used and legend cars on offer at any given time. Let's see. They thank the community enough, and then they also say, that the increased payout value of limited time rewards as we develop as a live service, further world circuit event addition of endurance races to missions including 24-hour races, addition of online time trials and award of rewards to players' differences with the top ranked time, and the final one, and the one that they should have just did in the beginning, make it so cars can be sold. Really. So cars can be sold. Because you couldn't sell your car, even if you're getting like the same amount of cars, like you couldn't sell. Like, I don't know why they didn't bring this up to begin with. So this has been like such a mess. I mean, such a rocky start for GT7.
Well, they're trying to build an economy, right? Like having the microtransactions in it complicates things a little bit. And then you have some dude make a script on PC that runs races for you like a crypto miner. That also ruins that's like some guy printing money in the middle of your country, and it devalues everyone else's money. But it's funny, it's only developers that would care about the money from microtransactions, which adds to the complications further. But
yeah, talk about cheesing the game. It just make it a script so you don't have to play, so you could just
But why?
But
Why did they do that?
Yeah, because it's a grind.
I mean, this is all due to the update that they put out last week. I don't know if you guys remember last week we were talking about Kazunori last week because he was saying like, "Hey, sorry guys, like I put out this update because I want you to have time with the cars and time with the game, and the microtransactions are representative of the actual real world cost, and that's why you have to put in all this time replaying the levels and playing the game in order to really understand and earn the value of those cars. And then that's why there's so much. And that's why we're charging $40 per car if you want to purchase it outright. I mean, this is all in reference to that. And I think that led to the review bombing. I don't know if we're going to get into that, but
no.
That led to, if you saw last week, and it still may be, we should have pulled the Metacritic for this one, but that was it got review bombed to 2.5. And which I really don't condone, but it's like almost like a change.org is how they're like treating it. People are very much, they're angry with it. They're like, this is insane. Like, let me play the game how I want to play the game. Don't try to like charge me like all this money for these cars. Like, I want to, of course, earn what I do, but having me like I think it was like 205 hours that I think they equated to actually earning like the $140 car, which is insane. Like, it's okay to have a dream for your game and like what you want to do with it. But once you like put it out, especially in a racing game, like the onus is on the person playing. Let them enjoy the game as is, and don't look at the data and be like, "Oh no, like we gotta change things." And just outrageous and transaction. Even if they are trying to build a platform and an economy, like kind of like Forza, just they really stab themselves in the foot. And there's even more that's been going on behind this, but I mean, this is all a reaction, and I think it's a fair reaction into what Polyphony has been doing and what Kazunori said and what Sony has let in the state that they let this game come out in.
All right. So the user score on Metacritic 1.7.
Look, people are going to remain unhappy until they actually make legitimate change, right? And who's going to be motivated to change their review back to something that was bigger and representative of what they actually think?
It's going to be very hard to come back from that. Like I was saying last week, I think this is one of Sony's lowest rated games of all time. I could be wrong, but yeah.
Well, I mean, they're first party games for sure.
Yeah, first party games for sure. Yeah, not
like in terms of the score. There's like Tunic was review bombed too, and all those got removed because it wasn't.
Why was that?
Because people were saying it like it's just like Zelda, which I think is awesome. They were saying,
"Well, the fox looks like Zelda."
That's a backhanded compliment, isn't it?
Not Zelda. Well, not Zelda. Link. I mean, he dresses like Link. I mean, with that,
it's called Tunic.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and the creator said it was very much inspired by Zelda. Like, it was never hidden. It was never a secret. And just with this game, like, I don't think that score is going to be removed because I think people are putting these reviews that are representative of the game, whereas people were review bombing Tunic because it wasn't something that they expected. I don't know. There was no real reason.
This Monster Hunter isn't the Pokemon I wanted.
Why they exactly. But then on top of that, I just been following this game, I guess, really closely. Now that I'm thinking about it, but this is also an online game. So even though it's a single player experience, it's still tied to online. You still have to have you have to have a constant online connection to play this game. And this week, on top of them saying like, hey, this is the game, this is an update, it's going to be harder to earn your cars, you have to put more time, you have to pay more money if you want to buy these cars. Their service went down for 2 days. It went down for not 2 days, 30 hours. So people, like, can you just be like, imagine paying like, $60-$70 for this game, and then you're playing it, you're having a great time. Like, you still have to put in a ton of hours, hundreds of hours. You still have to pay, like, if you want to purchase these games outright, you still have to pay a good amount of money. And then all of a sudden, a weekend, they put out an update that makes you have to put more time in, that makes you have to pay more money for the cars. And then on top of that, all within the same week, the service goes down for 30 hours and you can't play a single player game or online because the service has been down for 30 hours because of a bug that happened behind the scenes. And you're just like, what? Like, this is just a pile of shit just all over this game. And so, yeah, people are review bombing it. And it's just, it's not a good look, especially for a game that's been out, that hasn't been out since Sport, which people really don't even consider like a main game in the series. So if you think about like the timeline of this game, when you saw it, like the last time you saw a mainline Gran Turismo, you're talking about like early PS3. So you're talking about just I don't know, like a good amount of years, like 10 plus years or whatever, way longer than that. But there's just been a lot going on with this game. And, we were actually talking about a story earlier, and it kind of reminded me of this, but It may have been like Sony on the online games or something, but this is why I buy digital. Like, I not this is why I like to buy physical, is because like a lot of games, when the servers go down and things are done, at least if you have the physical copy for most games, you can still play them. And this is why Xbox, when they announced the Series S, you know, and not the Series S, but the one, thank you very much. Everyone got so upset because they said every game is going to have the online connectivity, and they're all going to have to, you know, ping those servers in order to operate.
That worked out very well for them.
This is the future that we're seeing. So people, don't get upset at this. Get upset at everything. Make sure you're buying physical games. Make sure, like, if a game has to ping, like, don't, like, these are things you want to think about. If you continuously buy digital games, this is the future that we're headed to. And servers are going to go down, and we're not going to be able to play our games. So I unpacked a lot right there. I'm sorry. I have done with my rant.
It's time for a challenge.
Yeah, time for
player 2 has entered the arena. With the idea of getting physical copies of games as opposed to buying digitally, I think the landscape of things with games at the moment is not going to lend you much credence, except having a snapshot of the game upon release, because every game comes with a day one patch, right? That fixes issues that were, you know, pressed onto a disc a couple of months before it made it to the shelves. So you have an instance of the game. But let's say that physical copies of Witcher 3 were acquired. Somehow those you got pwned hackers from, you know, start of 2021 or whenever that hack happened had somehow managed to make CDPR just implode on itself. All of a sudden there was nothing there. And the only way to play The Witcher 3 was with that physical game disc. That game would be broken as hell. No one is going to enjoy that experience as much as they would have with the iterations of the game that happened afterwards. So there is, like, having a preservation of games and being able to keep copies of those games is going to be super important. We are, like, the longer we wait and the more time we spend going to that future and we do nothing, it just takes Valve to collapse in on itself. And all of a sudden, an entire storefront of games, our libraries of games, won't be available anymore. So that in itself is incredibly interesting. But the idea that Gran Turismo or Polyphony has done the wrong thing here is definitely the right way to approach it, I think. Like, it takes a bad patch to then roll into a bad update, into an announcement that's too late, with messaging that's, again, Elden Ringy, where they're not apologetic for it. It adheres to a vision, but that vision isn't what gamers want. And, you know, they bent backwards to make that vision reversed so that it does meet player expectations. And then we're not looking at the Elden Ring of car games here either. So they can't be unapologetic and, you know, lean into their experience. So it's a big PR exercise that caused this microcosm of problems. Those things, that dumpster fire that they kept pouring gasoline on unknowingly, because they were just trying to toast their marshmallows, but they couldn't figure out why they were getting black every time. Like, it's just really unfortunate that it happened this way. And the thing that you said that surprised me was that there hasn't been a first, like, what would you call it, a primary title Gran Turismo release since the PS3. You telling me there wasn't one for the PS4?
No, just Gran Turismo Sport. That's it.
Yeah, they re-released Gran Turismo Sport and they updated it, better graphics, more level. It was like the deluxe version essentially, and they re-released that for PS4, but that was a PS3 game. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been a minute.
There is no disagreement here that they made bad decisions or the wrong decisions. But I think we can sometimes get trapped as gamers in that culture of reactivity. You know, as you said earlier in the podcast, even, that, you know, we jump on things very quickly as gamers and we polarize ourselves right to the end game. Like, you know, Sony is making Fortnite and there's going to be no more God of Wars. In this case, it's Gran Turismo is forcing me to do my daily commute every day for a year so that I can earn my Bugatti Veyron. Like, it doesn't feel good when you say it that way. But here's an important question. Without feedback that's given that way, how are the game companies going to know these days? Like, we've kind of pushed the sensitivity of game updates and fixes to respond to things like this. Are there other ways that game development studios are acquiring feedback from games like this, or how did they do it in the past? Like, or is it just that big quality games like this with enough scope and enough breadth of fan base just kind of have to wait for these things to emerge? They don't have to actively seek it. Like, that's what I'd want to know. You know, we talk a lot about QA teams with regards to Activision Blizzard these days and unions, but QA teams are incredibly important. But your biggest QA team is going to be the people who jump on the game first. So how did they collect the data on how people were interacting with that game? That's what I'd want to know. And like, they need to be able to learn better from experiences that way. Not necessarily being unapologetic about their vision, not necessarily, you know, meeting every single gamer's whim and requirement in terms of what they want from the game that you made, but for them to make a seemingly tone-deaf announcement because they announced a bug with their previous patch. Like, what happened in the conversation there that meant that they made that announcement instead? Like, that's what I'd like to unpack. That's what I want to see. I want to see who's making those decisions and why.
Yeah.
Is it down to the money again? It's a weird thing, and it's sad because Gran Turismo is a very well thought of game franchise.
And that's the thing; it reviewed so well. It reviewed phenomenally well. So everyone was picking it up, and then it was patched, and then it's not the same game that the reviewers, you know, talked about. It's not the same game that the reviewers reviewed. It reminds me back in the day when NBA 2K, I think it was 20 or 21. When it released, and then they put a patch, so it essentially had advertisements, like it blanketed the UI and the game, just like all these different advertisements like in the game, and then like people were like pissed. They're like, "What the heck? What happened to my game? I just purchased this game. It was this game a day ago. The update happened, and now I have all these advertisements blasting at me and microtransaction things blasting at me." And then they're like, "Sorry, that was a mistake. You know, we'll go ahead and change it back." You know,
but that's sometimes the A/B testing for that stuff too. Sometimes they just don't know how it's going to land, and they want to try, right? Like, very bad analogy, but a restaurant is looking to cut down the costs of their service. So one day they try making a burger that costs significantly less than the one that they used to make. And they just throw it out there and try it and see what happens. And if enough people throw the burger back at you and say, "This tastes terrible, I don't want this burger. What happened to the one I had yesterday?" Then they say, "Oh, okay, we can't do that. Maybe we'll try something else." But that's the money of things. People are really weird with money. I don't know why.
I mean, true, definitely. And I mean, hopefully they learn a lesson from all this. And I mean, I want to see Gran Turismo something do better. And, you know, I liked what I saw in the beginning, like when we were reviewing this game late last month, earlier this month, you know, just I was excited for it, you know, a new Gran Turismo game coming out. And then for it to just come to this, it's just, oh boy. Like,
look, we just have to wait and see what they do next, right?
Yeah.
If they can, clearly they can placate the gamers who are frustrated with the game currently. How they go about doing that, I mean, whether it's increasing the amount they can earn or giving them a stipend. I believe that was part of it as well, that they're getting bonus credits to reimburse them for their time. And maybe they know who ran that script through the remote play and they don't get their credits. Who knows?
Yeah.
But, you know, they're good. It's a live service game. It's a live game. It's a web game. They're going to want people to be in this platform for a long time. That's been made incredibly clear too. So they're going to do things to make sure that can happen. And it may mean development reaches a point where it has to elongate much further because they're making less money from microtransactions. but they have to suffer that because they got a little bit greedy at the start.
Yeah, they did, and they deserve it. I mean, you getting greedy like that, microtransactions. Who cares?
Well,
I'm saying give them the benefit of the doubt. Eventually, just see what they're doing.
Eventually, yeah.
See what they're doing.
My reasoning last week was that them paying the car companies, because they all have they have all these licensed cars within the game. So I feel like they have to pay the car manufacturers back for everything that they did. So this is the way that they do it. But that's just pure speculation. But that's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, definitely with these cars, they all come down to licensing. All right. So enough with the Gran Turismo 7. With the end of March upon us, quarter one is just about coming to an end, and we figured that we'll just make this part an open forum. The hot games, and not so hot games, and just looking toward the future. Any games this quarter besides the ones we're playing that anyone should pick up? We know Elden Ring's hot. Horizon Forbidden West is hot. Any other games that anyone should check out? Or just actually Ollie World. Actually, I think, and I know I've been critical of this, and I was telling Mark this. I think eventually I will pick up WWE 2K22 sometime this year. Don't know when.
I mean, I already called that. I told you the game was good. Like it was reviewing well, and I already told you you're gonna pick it up. And now look at you.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna pick it up. Yeah, I'm gonna pick it up.
There is a trend here, Justin. I don't know if you know this, but you're a sucker for reviews, man.
But hey, he bought Elden Ring.
I know. And he said he wasn't.
Every week I talk about it. That purchase is looking a little bit better, but it's worth a shot. And that's what I'm hearing about WWE 2K. Is that what it is?
22, 2K. Yeah.
That wrestling game. It sounds like.
I just heard the creative player is awesome in it. That's it. There's actually a ton of videos on YouTube about the creative player. People are just making themselves. They're making celebrities. So yeah, it's looking like a lot of fun. The mechanics, people are enjoying the mechanics, the reversal mechanics and everything. Yeah.
2K did a very good job with this game from what I'm seeing. So, I mean, usually these are day one pickups for me, but I didn't pick up the last game on day. Actually, I didn't even pick up the 2K20 because that was such a broken mess. And 2K19, I was not very impressed with it. So
I've heard they've usually got some semblance of brokenness in there somewhere that kind of, makes it not the best wrestling game ever.
Yeah, but I mean, aside from that, I mean, January you had Pokemon Legends Arceus, the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection. See, so I mean, it wasn't too big of a month of January, and then you have Ollie World in February, Sufu, Action Arcade Wrestling, the Kingdom Hearts.
There's been so many games.
Yeah,
to be honest, I don't want to interrupt you listing off some of the big ones, but I'm having a lot of trouble seeing past Elden Ring, and I realize that in myself. I finished Sifu earlier. Maybe it was probably a month ago now, and that was an excellent one. I think everyone should give that one a go. It's like
Sifu.
What would you call it?
Okay,
Sifu. Yeah, it's look, in martial arts games and kind of button reaction time parry games aren't necessarily everyone's cup of tea, but it is a lot of fun, and it's a really neat experience. Developers are doing a lot of great work in the game, improving it and adding more stuff. So it's a really good one to look at. That's what I'd put on my hot list in addition to Elden Ring. Tunic has to be another one to shout out as well. Like that's going to be a quiet contender for some Game of the Year stuff later on. Like a lot of people talked about Death's Door the same way last year.
Yeah. So, we're going to be looking at Tunic definitely the Game of the Year, counting them down definitely, and then obviously this month too, Triangle Strategy was that was a big hot release
that sold 800,000 already. So that's
wow, Workshop Simulator that's doing pretty good.
Yeah, you said Ollie World, but I'll definitely re-mention that one. Yeah, there's just too many good games. Like not too many, but we knew going into this year was going to be like epic.
Dense.
Yeah, just so dense and just everything that we're getting, and so many things have been delayed already. Like we've already had like 18, 19 like delays, but it still feels like we're just encumbered by all these great games. And that's the great, like this is awesome. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned all the games I would mention for this Q1 so far, but there's just there's so many games that don't have release that don't have. Yeah, there's rest of the year. So many games.
Yeah, rest of the year.
Yeah, so I want to talk about what's coming in the future. Q1, we already know what's came out. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So the future. What are you looking forward to rest of the year? At least that we know that's coming. I mean, April, got some good games coming.
Forspoken.
May, Forspoken.
That one coming October. I think that's going to be okay. Sorry, good.
Good.
Like, average, but sorry.
I'm still looking forward to Saints. I'm still looking forward to Saints Row. I can't wait for that one.
Is that one October as well?
August right now, unless it gets pushed back again, where we're hoping it doesn't. But yeah, Saints Row, and then Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, and the Cowabunga Collection. I'm really looking forward to those. I mean, even like with what's come out, the announcements that have been coming out, it's just I mean, a lot of good games, and then of course, Gotham Knights in October. So yeah, October is going to be a heavy month for Forspoken and Gotham Knights.
Suicide Squad officially delayed till next year. Just a quick mention.
Yeah, it's official. I know we talked about it several episodes back. I think sometime in February, but yeah, it's official now. So just in case you guys were wondering there.
And of course, Starfield, probably Starfield. One of the biggest games of this year that we know very, very little about. There's also, of course, Pokemon, which is on our cover today. Scarlet and Violet, I believe it is.
Scarlet and Violet, yeah.
Going to be huge. Still got God of War Ragnarok coming round. Right? Just clear this up for me, because I thought it had a month that it was being announced, released in this year. But I could be wrong.
No, not
right
that I
now,
know of.
I don't think they're. Yeah, I'm seeing it. I'm on Game Informer right now. It looks like there's no date for it just yet. It's
so weird. I thought it was coming out in April or something. That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh well. I'll say it too. Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, is one that I'm looking forward to. No announcement for that yet, but that could very much be a very quick Team Ninja drop on Game Pass day one or something.
And then another game is Sonic Frontiers. I'm very curious to see what that is about. That's another game a lot of people know little to nothing about, so Sonic Frontiers, next month the movie is coming, so maybe sometime after the movie we'll get some more information on the next Sonic game. I mean, we can only hope.
A VR mention, Moss 2. So if you played the original Moss on PlayStation VR, was an incredible platformer, very much like pre-Astrobot, like it was the platformer. So the number 2 is coming out, which I think is going to actually lend to PS2 VR coming out sooner than later. I think we could see that fall announcement for that, or at least a fall announcement for either late this year or early next year.
So you're telling me Super Lucky's Tale wasn't the platformer to win all platformers on
You heard what I said. I'm not going to repeat myself.
I'm trying to pretend I know a lot by saying the games that I hear and the games that I know.
That's all good, man.
We need a bit more VR coverage, maybe around.
Yeah, well, I mean, Finest is our VR guy, so
I used to be. I don't.
Okay, maybe he used to be when we launched this, 4 years ago. But I think I'm still the retro guy when it comes to this podcast. I could be wrong, but I don't know. Or maybe Ted.
You're both retro guys, man. I'm sitting here with my cyber hat on, and you guys are like hanging around in the back playing the cool stuff that you remember from your childhood. You guys know tons of stuff about retro. I always feel like I'm out of the conversation as soon as it comes up. Like Cowabunga Collection, I might as well just turn my webcam off.
Same with you on PC. Yeah,
same with you on PC, man. I mean, that's why I love having you on the show. You've educated me more about PC gaming than anyone we've ever had.
There you go.
You know, I mean,
as long as I've got a spot.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's what makes our podcast, very diverse. I think we all bring different things to the table. So I mean, and that's what I love about it.
We're nearing 2 hours though, and we can reminisce after the show. Sign up to our Patreon for the post show. But but anyway, is there any other games that you guys are looking forward to for this year?
I think I named them all as of right now.
I'm surprised no one said Zelda Breath of the Wild 2.
Are you?
It doesn't even have a name yet.
It's Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. What are you talking about?
Unannounced Zelda title.
That's what they keep calling it. That's what they.
Is there any discussion at this stage about an anticipated release for this year? Have you heard something that I haven't?
No, everyone's just anticipating. I mean, like, it was the most anticipated game of last year in the categories, in the Game of the Awards.
Did it win?
Yeah, so they'll probably win it again if nothing.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure it won.
I thought Elden Ring won twice.
I thought it was.
Did it?
Okay,
well,
it was Elden Ring.
It was on the
list.
It
was in the category. Yeah, it was in the. It was in the in the running. Also looking forward to hopefully Bayonetta 3 coming out. Even though that's a Switch only, title.
Metroid Prime 4, we'll see.
Yeah, Metroid Prime 4. Just really hitting those Switch titles.
Gotta show Switch some love. All right. Any other titles you both want to name off, or are we good to move on?
I'm just thinking how funny it would be if the first Zelda game I ever play is unannounced Zelda title. Clearly not funny enough. We'll see. I'll wait for Breath of the Wild 3.
I don't think you're too far off, but I think that's going to be. I mean, look at we're so far into gaming. We're going into 40 years into gaming. Like, or has it already hit 40 years? Like,
I think it's already hit 40 years. So
yeah. So I mean, that's to be expected. There's going to be just a whole generation that didn't play retro games or didn't play that. Like, my son is going to play all this crap behind me. He's going to have to play retro games. Like, his first console is going to be a Nintendo or Super Nintendo in his room. And I'm going to stay off my PlayStation 4 or Xbox Series X. But that's
my cousin's thinking of very much the same standard for his kid as well. That's going to be his journey. Like, you don't learn from the PS5 backwards. You learn from the old consoles upwards.
Forward. Yeah.
Which is funny because they're some of the hardest games in history, right?
Yeah, like Mega Man X. Oh, man.
Anyway, it's looking good anyway for the rest of this year. I would say, like always, my theory is to set your expectations either low or middling, and you'll always be pleasantly surprised when something jumps out at you.
Yeah, definitely.
We could be looking forward to a few surprises this year.
My last note is they're supposed to upgrade Witcher for PS5 and Series X.
Yeah.
So since we already talked about Witcher, I thought I'd throw that out there. So if you haven't played, Justin, there you go.
Yeah, definitely. I could wait for the PS5 release.
Blow the dust off that PS5 and boot her up.
Yep. All right. So real quick before we go, Finance, you shared some podcast numbers with us. You just want to give our listeners and viewers just a quick state of the podcast, and then.
No, I was not prepared for this whatsoever. So I really don't have anything. Thank you for all the new subscribers. Thank you for the people that have been watching this episode. This is the most people we've ever had watch a live episode. So thank you, all you viewers out there. Thank you, people, for subscribing and just really giving us a chance and listening to us. No matter how many mistakes we make or how many errors, audio errors, or things we have going on in the background or foreground. We appreciate you so much. So that's all I got. March has been a great month for us, and I attribute that to just having great co-hosts, great people to talk with, and just really committing to providing an episode every week for people to listen to, even though it is 2 hours. So thank you for being here.
That's a great 2 hours. And
great
anyone who's not listening right now is missing out. So anyone listening, make sure you tell your friends, Game & Watch, the place to go for all of your human errors, for which none of us are perfect.
Yeah,
and
we're all just regular people.
Yeah,
we're regular people,
I am not regular by any means.
Of course, except for OBG himself right there. Okay, the release
Game and
rundown.
Watch podcast at gmail.com for your emails about shit. Wrapping it round.
I love it.
Yeah, you're having fun if you're laughing so much. Okay, so release rundown. So next week, last week of March, we're going to finish off March strong. We got the Crusader Kings 3 coming out March 29th, coming to the PS5 and Xbox Series of systems. Also, March 29th, WRC 10 coming to the Switch. And then on March 30th, we have Aerial Knights Never Yield for iOS and Android. And then we got Death Stranding Director's Cut coming to the PC, also March 30th. Moss Book 2 coming to PlayStation VR March 31st. Also, March 31st, we got Starship Troopers Terran Command coming to PC. And then the final game coming out for the month of March, Weird West, coming to the PS5, Xbox Series of Systems, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Any of these games anyone should be looking to pick up?
Weird West is making a big landing.
It is?
I've seen a lot of people talking about it. It's like an RPG, choose your own adventure, decision-based kind of thing. Top-down Weird West being like a spaghetti western with robots and weird monsters and stuff. Just seems to be hitting the right notes for the right people. So maybe have a look at a few reviews for that. See if it's your cup of tea. I'll be having a bit of a deeper dive myself.
I already said it, Moss 2. So, I mean, based on Moss 1, I have no idea how this game is going to land. It's still on PSVR only. So I don't know how many people are really going to break out their PSVRs to play this game, which is one of the reasons why I think the PSVR 2 is coming out soon, because I don't think they would have released this unless there was, I think for like this will sit for a year and then, PSVR 2 is going to come out, and they have that relationship with Sony, which is why they're releasing it now. But I'm really just amazed at another Starship Troopers game is coming out. Like, that is just it seems like so out of left field. I mean, I love the movie, and it is such it is such one of those like B movies that like is just loved by all the people that love it. But I'm shocked that they're coming out with a game for that. So
I didn't play Death Stranding, but the director's cut, I mean, I've heard nothing but good things about it. So if you have a PC, definitely check out Death Stranding director's cut. And this is Sony's way of still getting in a PC with their IPs, and they're killing it so far. Matt, you've played God of War on PC, and so I mean that's good.
Well, they had a PC release already for Death Stranding, but this is the director's cut, which I think made it to consoles a little bit earlier. No, it's fine. Look, things come to PC randomly. There's no rhyme or reason to it, as you said. But they are clearly gearing for the PC market. And look, this is the first time I've seen what's his face holding a baby outside of the little pod thing they have on the front cover.
Yeah.
A little unsettling, but that's what they're going for, right?
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. So, all right. It's been about 2 hours here, so we're gonna have to shutter it down. Any final thoughts before we put episode 81 in the books?
Which book is it? What book are we going into? That's what I want to know.
The Game & Watch podcast book of episodes. Counting down to episode 100.
Special merch idea. If you subscribe to the Patreon, maybe you can get a copy of that book. Who knows?
All right,
I'm making promises that I shouldn't be making here.
All right, guys. Right. For your professor of time preservation, Matt Bliss, and OVG RView Gaming himself, Finest Dabs, I'm Justin Reed, aka Too Tall for You Fool, saying so long. Thank you for watching and listening to episode 81 of the Game & Watch podcast. Be sure to check us out on all our social media platforms, and definitely check out our Patreon. Have a good one, folks. Later.
See y'all next time.
Bye, y'all.